To our guest speaker, Engineer Raul B. Fuentes, our University President, Engineer Bernard Nicolas E. Villamor, our Vice President for Administration, Mr. John Gregory B. Iscario, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Attorney Corazon Evangelista Valencia, our Dean of the College of Engineering and Architecture, Dr. Evangeline C. Evangelista, and our Assistant College Dean, Engineer Amis Pacamalan, the Deans of the other colleges, department chairs, department heads, members of the faculty, parents, guests, friends, fellow honorees, good afternoon. It might be perennial inasmuch as commencement addresses go. I'd still like to say it's a great honor to have been given the chance to speak before all of you today. Someone once smartly remarked, "Not everyone is given a chance to be heard. So when you are, always make it count." Should you be spared with a few minutes, a podium, a stage, and a dynamic and fervent batch of audience, use it to effectively channel your words across. That, however, doesn't make this undertaking any less difficult. For when that same chance spared some glance my way, I still have to rack my own faculties for what I ought to say. Well, if there's an element that are supposedly needed to make up this whole speech, I deem there's one thing too significant to be left out. It's the expression of our sincerest gratitude to whom all the events that led us to this monumental accomplishment are attributed. I believe that all these would not have been possible without the perpetual guidance of our divine providence, to whom we owe everything. The Lord's presence has made an invaluable impact in my life, especially when times get particularly rough. When I'm on the verge of giving up, my faith in God's infinite love is what keeps me holding on to that thin thread that tethers me to the realities of the world. When everything seems to go awry, when things have gone the way we not ought them to be, when life throws its best punches at me, my hope in God's intervention is what keeps me rooted on my footing. It's what makes me stand up and rise up from every fall. It's what makes me rise up from the rock bottom from which I've been occasionally thrown into. My biggest thanks are to Him, from which all my strength come copiously. My gratitude also extends to our beloved institution, the Cebu Institute of Technology University, who accompanies me in my exhilarating journey towards self-discovery. I can still recall when I was just about to graduate from high school, I've been nothing but dubious on what particular engineering program to pursue. But I already knew it then. No matter what engineering program I'd end up studying, CIT University will be the one to help me get it. It's funny. It's as if I've already chosen, long before knowing that the program I'll study eventually is even offered by the school in the first place. I guess this is just one of those instances that you're pretty much closed off about something, and what you can do is just to pray and hope it'll turn out to be better than what you hoped for. So I first crossed the threshold of the institution, bearing the blessing of my parents, the initial dose of first college day excitement, and the hope that it will turn out to be the best experience I'll ever have. And guess what? It really did. If I were to rate how strongly I recommend the school to the ones I know, I'll give it a 10 any day. My college years would also not have been the same without the help of the organizations that support my schooling. My greatest thanks to the Infants du Mekong Scholarship Foundation that doesn't stop at only financially supporting my academic endeavors, but has also invested in the holistic development of my individuality. Thank you so much for seeing me beyond what I am to the person I have all the potential to become. My salute and admiration go forth to the people behind the foundation who have helped nurturing young deserving scholars to become future stewards to his fellow men. Thanks to my sponsor, Kuya Philippe, who have always helped me at the outset of my college journey. My sincerest thanks reach out to the Department of Science and Technology as well, from which I've received enormous support too. There are ways a DOST scholar is viewed as having the potential to become the future developers of our nation's tomorrow, being one of them. That being said, thank you so much for inducting me in your very prominent roster. To my mentors, I owe you my sincerest thanks as well. To our ever dynamic and supportive department chair, Engineer Roberto P. Basso Jr. Thank you so much, sir, for your faith and support. You've always been a father figure to us MEs. To Engineer Marlito Patunob and Engineer Mark Cesultano, thank you so much for your guidance in the making of our thesis project. It hadn't been easy, but through your constant guidance and uncompromised consultations, it makes up one extreme force that pushes us forward in the completion of our project fabrication. I can never thank you enough. To our beloved instructors, Engineer Rodolfo Navarro, Engineer Emmanuel Nadella, Engineer Jonathan Reyes, Engineer Ray Malunhao, Engineer Edgardo Concepcion, Dr. Edwin Torillo, and to the rest that make up the entire mechanical engineering faculty. I am greatly honored to have had the greatest fortune of becoming one of your students. It's one thing a teacher can teach his students well. Inspiring them to become better individuals on top of that is a whole new matter. And you did a pretty great job at it. My salute goes to you all. College life is not easy. It never was. But if there's something that makes this rather difficult ride worthwhile and fun, it's through the people we've grown so close with during the trip, to whom I attribute this accomplishment as well. I'm pouring my thanks to all of my friends who may or may not have jokingly expressed their disowning me should I not mention them. To my thesis mates, Regine, Earl, Ingui, Ahmad, Denmark, you have seen both my sunny and grim days. Thank you so much. We have shared a lot of things together. The sleepless nights, the dinner meetups, and the constant bantering. But despite all the exhaustion we acquired from all those, I wouldn't trade it for anything. To my classmates and to my friends from both EDM and DOST, thank you so much for helping me get to where I am right now. You have been my greatest support group, seeing my potential, especially at times when I fail to see it myself. Thank you for all the things we shared, the laughter, the arguments, the inside jokes, the collective study sessions, and the sleepovers. There might not be much we will remember after we leave the portals of college, but the things we shared, I'm sure those will be the things I first remember. And thank you so much for sharing it with me. We've not only been friends, we've become a family. More than anything, I would like to give thanks to my beloved parents who have always had my back. They have been my source of inspiration and motivation to live up to what my goals require every day. Whenever I feel so dejected, I will only search for their faces and everything will seem to fall into perspective. They have been my biggest fan. If things didn't conform to how I want them to be, they have their own way of making me feel special, of making me realize that the best things are reserved to those who will have the faith. I happened to belong to the top percentage when I graduated in high school. And after our graduation, I once heard someone telling my parents, "Your son is a valedictorian. You must be so proud." My brain worked like clockwork then. I think if there's someone in that room who wears the most pride, that would be me. Not because of what I have achieved, but because I was born out of love from the most wonderful set of parents the world has ever seen. And I couldn't be any prouder. I guess it goes the same today. I hold that the best thing about this whole occasion is not my being the newly crowned king. It's the knowledge that even if I didn't get to wear this crown, I will never appear less in the eyes of my parents. That's what had incessantly propelled me to strive to do the best that I can. For me, there's nothing more fueling and empowering than the faith of the ones who believe in you. Thank you so much, Ma. Ba. College has taught us a lot of lessons that will surely come in handy as we embark in the thrilling voyage of our future careers. The most remarkable of them comes from the most unlikely places. Some of them we learned through the confines of our discussion halls. Some we acquired through the insight shared by the sagacious people we met or dealt with regularly, from our instructors, our friends, our family, or even from a random person you met on the street. The bitter lessons, which consequently make them memorable, however, come at the painful expense of our own mistakes. At times when we hit rock bottom, it taught us an important life lesson. A lesson most of us learned only by ourselves. It taught us to find alternatives, to be creative, to think outside the box in the attempt to rise again. There is no problem in falling. In fact, it could be seen as something to be thankful for. For failures could be a sturdy ground from which all your solid foundations can be built. What matters is we take the chance. It's not a shame if we fail. It would only be if we will not try at all. And every undertaking we find ourselves doing, make it a point to practice and uphold excellence. Aim and try to do the best that you can so that even if you fell short to win the prize, it will never count as a failure. You did it with the paramount of your ability, so you got nothing to lose. You're not bound to answer to anyone if it wouldn't turn out favorably. You're not afraid to lose. And that's the first manifestation of real winning. When I was a kid, I shared the dream of my age of becoming a part of a royalty. I believed I could be anything. When I grew older, I realized that the world is not at all we initially thought it would be. It has its own way of reminding me that I cannot be exactly like the one that had been impressed in me as a kid. My reality is slowly conforming to that of the world, but one thing remains unchanged. The fire of my faith in what I can become is still burning. I still believe that if you want something with as much passion and conviction, it will eventually turn out for the best. Strengthen your faith in your potential and focus on it. Don't think on what end will it get you. Just reach down inside of yourself and believe on what you can do. The process will deliver you to something not short on what you deserve. I've always to do my best shot at everything. So I prayed and persevered. I never expected it will soon merit me this crown. That's the beauty of faith and will. So keep persevering and keep believing. You'd be surprised to the result it will bring. That is our determinant against the world. It's what marks our proud stance in the face of the odds. A technologian spirit worth emulating 1,000,000 times over. A technologian outlook worth 1,000,000 crowns. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude again to all the people who have helped me get here. And congratulations to my fellow honorees and to their proud parents. This achievement will not only be kept in these walls, this accomplishment also goes to all the hopeful aspirants who share the dream of becoming something by believing in the beauty of their potentials. Good afternoon, and may God bless us all.